Watch Dogs Legion has been out for almost an entire month, and putting my thoughts into one single video has been extremely difficult. I've even played through the game twice, and I'm still not sure how I feel. On one hand, Watch Dogs Legion is ambitious. The concept to play as anyone is something that's never been done before, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was good or the right direction. Creating and building a team is a lot of fun, as characters have different abilities and play styles. My favorite being the professional hitman because of those takedowns and weapons. But there are a ton of options. You can have grannies, spies, medics, hackers, and the list honestly goes on. To recruit these characters, most of the time you'll have to deprofile them and then do a favor to get them into DedSec. These missions aren't the most unique, and they become quite repetitive once you start recruiting a lot, but honestly, it's not too terrible. I don't think anyone went into this game expecting a lot of variety with recruitment missions, and again, they're not even bad, just sort of generic. With Play As Anyone, gameplay takes a different approach. In Watch Dogs 1 and 2, you had Cars on Demand where you could summon a car at any time. Now, you have to find a character in the open world who has that as an ability. In Watch Dogs 1 and 2, you could go to a gun shop or 3D print a weapon. In Legion, you have to find a character with a specific weapon. In Watch Dogs 1 and Watch Dogs 2, you could upgrade a bunch of hacks and eventually get a blackout. In this game, there are barely any hacks to upgrade, and there's no blackout for any character. I really think the concept to Play As Anyone is fun, but there are inconveniences. You have to find a character with certain abilities, and I get why they did that. They want you to build up your team and experience different characters. The problem with that is some people want to play through the story as one character and try to get attached to said person, instead of constantly switching people in and out. And I'm one of those people. I wanted to immerse myself into the story as much as possible, so in my first playthrough, I basically played most of it as a professional hitman. Unfortunately though, he can't summon a car, he can't use certain weapons, he can't use certain hacks, so that limits my gameplay. So during my second playthrough, I thought, let's try to build a team and switch characters in and out. And that was an inconvenience still, because 90% of characters in this game have terrible voice acting, and it ruined the story straight away. And even when you finally get operators with a decent voice, if you're constantly switching between them, you're not going to get attached. You lose either way. If you play as one character, you're limited in gameplay. If you play as an entire team, you're not going to get close to any operator. And it's a shame because I honestly think if one character had every ability in this game, the gameplay would be the best in the series. But since it's separated throughout so many characters, it really does suffer. As for the story, I think there are some great moments, but ultimately, it falls short. Clan Kelly and Sky Larson were some of my favorite storylines, and I really wish we saw more of that. But for some reason, and this always has been a problem in Watch Dogs, they have too many villains, so none of them get a good amount of time. Some of these villains are just boring and forgettable. Nigel Cass is as generic as it gets. He didn't do anything that surprised me, and his boss fight was extremely easy. The SIRS storyline was okay, but nothing stood out. The 404 stuff is fine, but they didn't really add much to the story besides one mission. And then there's Zero Day. You will honestly forget Zero Day is a thing sometimes throughout this game. And when the big reveal finally comes around, it's sort of predictable. For me, the most interesting stuff was the AI story. I really think if Sky Larson was the main focus, the campaign would have easily been the best in the series, even with Play As Anyone. But since there's like 4 other villains and stories happening, the entire thing falls flat. The only character you get a good amount of time with is Bagley, and I hated him at first. But as you play through the Sky Larson missions and find out more about him, he easily becomes the best thing about this game. The ending and how they handled Bagley could have been a bit better, but besides that, it was fantastic. So if they were able to pull something off like that with Bagley, imagine how much better Sky Larson would have been if she had more character development. The mission designs, unfortunately, aren't that praiseworthy either. There is a few standout moments, but there's so much repetitive stuff. the AR reconstruction missions being some of the worst in my opinion. There's also the hacking and stealing data type missions, which we've seen 1,000 times, and there really isn't anything unique about them in this game. In fact, some of these areas are tied to recruitment missions as well, so you'll be visiting an area more than once sometimes, and it just doesn't feel unique. In all honesty, some of my favorite stuff was the Borough Liberation missions. I loved going through Big Ben as a spider bot. I loved flying a news drone and trying to navigate my way through a dark area. These were super unique and somehow better than most of the story missions. I really wish we saw more unique stuff like this. Side activities in this game are technically unique when compared to the last two games. My favorite being the bare knuckle arena, but I also got addicted to the football minigame. I really don't know why, it's nothing special, but I was constantly trying to beat my high score, so there's that. Once you beat the main game and finish collecting masks, there really isn't much to do, and these side activities don't keep you interested for that long. Thankfully, Online is releasing next month, and that should help with this problem. I also have to point out that this game has a ton of bugs. For me personally, I only encountered about 2 or 3 crashes during my 50 hours with this game, but it's obvious there are a ton of other issues out there. There's reports of people losing save files, the game constantly crashing on every platform, and there's just a bunch of performance issues. These are known problems, and Ubisoft are continuing to fix them, but it's clear that Legion would have benefited if they had another 3 months of development time. I also think they shouldn't have released this on so many consoles. Watch Dogs Legion released on PC, Xbox One, PS4, Stadia, and the PS5 and Xbox Series X. I'm pretty sure it's coming to Amazon Luna too, whatever the fuck that is. I really do feel bad for the developers because they had to make so many versions of this game during a pandemic. I know I've been criticizing this game a lot, but there really are great things going for it. I love the combat, I love the open worlds. Seriously, this game can look amazing. There is a ton of clothing options, photo mode is great, and the driving, in my opinion, is the best it's ever been. You can have a lot of fun with this game, tackling missions in so many different ways. I mean, I enjoyed playing through this game. I have over 50 hours in it, but it does feel like with every step forward, they took 2 steps back. For example, even though there are a ton of clothing options, you can't go into clothing shops. Even though the driving is better, there's only one camera option. Gunplay is the best it's ever been, but you have to find characters with a specific weapon. See what I'm getting at? I just don't know how to feel about this game because it takes steps in the right direction, but it also removes stuff for no real reason. At the end of the day, I think this game is still worth getting and checking out, but probably buy it when it's on sale. When Online releases, the bugs are fixed, and the Aiden Pierce DLC comes out, I think Legion is going to be a lot better. But as of right now, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Like I said, it's an ambitious game, and there's nothing really like it. There are fun moments to be had, and the gameplay can be great. On the flip side though, the story is mostly average, missions get repetitive, and there are key features missing. With that said, let me know what you think about this game in the comments down below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.